In terms of rehabilitation, I've been speaking to the Ministry of Justice and they're saying there's no kind of statistics around people who've discovered the faith and is there links to not reoffending. For you, what's your opinion on this?
Well, it's very difficult to take one intervention and say this is a magic bullet because everybody's on a journey.
That's right.
And coming to faith may or may not be part of that journey. People age into crime and they age out of it as well. I think we know that. So there's a natural thing that people will stop doing crime. Most people, even if they're coming from a criminal background, will gradually stop doing that, or suddenly it's an intervention. Somebody, they get married, they get children, they get settled down, whatever. But I think there is actually statistics and studies done on people who come to faith in prison that show that they deal with prison time much better. There's quite a lot. Okay. I mean, I can cite studies if you want. Finding God Behind Bars by Shab Maruna is one of them. Yeah. But I did some research as a part of the master's program in criminology and criminal justice, which I finished last year, on guys who come to faith in prison and stop doing crime. And Michael Longsmith is one of those guys who I met in prison in 2009. And what I found was that it wasn't rehabilitation that did it. It was transformation. And this is outside of the system. Some of those people came to faith on Alpha. Some of them had done Sycamore, had done restorative justice. Some of them just came to faith in their cells in the most desperate time when they were about to end it all. Yeah. So this is, there's no telling when that will happen because it is an intervention by God. Yes. But the point is those people, all of them, they were all in prison for serious violent crime. The minimum sentence any of those had was 4 years. The maximum was life. So we're dealing with quite dangerous people, some of them very dangerous, came to faith in prison and stopped and had a quantum change, really fast, major change in their life. Everything changed. Their conscience changed, came alive. They started feeling really remorseful for what they've done. Their attitude changed or everything. Their behavior changed. Everything changed. And so for me, we've got this sort of dichotomy in prison. How do we help people become non-criminal, become pro-social instead of anti-social? And rehabilitation, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but if you think of a hierarchy of needs, you've got survival on the bottom, and you've got security, belonging, you've got self-importance, and you've got self-actualization. Most people in the prison system are operating, spending most of their energy in that bottom level or the bottom two, just trying to survive the day or the night. And if you add in drug addiction, they will sacrifice their security to get that's a basic need, to get that basic survival need met. So they're just stuck on the bottom rung. What we try and do when we rehabilitate people is we give them, essentially, in the prison system, work or education. So that's how we as a society translate what we think they need, right? Now, if you give people work and education in prison system, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But unless you change that sense of belonging, which will support that, what you end up is well-educated criminals with a work ethic. Right?
Quite dangerous.
Right. So, because they're still criminals. And as a man thinks, so he shall be. I've always been a criminal. My dad was a criminal. I come from a criminal. I'm always going to be a criminal. You hear that. You hear that. So unless you can change that sense of belonging, everything you give someone above that is not going to help.